Welcome to the Thousand Farms annual meeting of 2024. My name is Jacob van Netten. I am the leader of the Thousand Farms project. My job here is to give you a general overview of what we've done over the last year. Just as a reminder, what is the goal of this project? The goal is to expand on-farm testing of crop varieties in Africa for a breeding program so that they have more data to make better decisions about the last stages of breeding up to the release of these varieties, like squeezing more insights out of these trials and making better decisions in terms of variety release. We do this using the tricot approach, which is a participatory approach, working with many farmers who do the research on small plots, as you can see in the picture, supported by digital tools which make it possible to scale this approach and expand its use. And what you see in the next slide is the expansion of this use. So we've been making steady progress in expanding the number of farmers that have been reached by this approach, getting to more than 40,000 now, which of course will benefit many more farmers who will then benefit from the varieties. So not every farmer has to be participating in the trial to benefit from it. Here you see a picture of the expansion across Africa, reaching East, West Africa and Southern Africa for different crops. Every point is a trial, so there will be many farmers associated with each point, and you see all the different crops on the right. We hope to expand this further, especially for rice in 2024. And also reaching more countries. So some outcomes. So outcomes are constituted by the use of the approach by other projects and programs outside of Thousand Farms, so not directly funded by us. So an important one is the use that One Acre Fund in Rwanda has been making of the tricot approach, recommending varieties to farmers based on the results of trials, and also investing in expanding these trials and making them very substantial. Sweet Gains is a project that is making substantial use of the tricot approach for sweet potato on-farm testing. Feed the Future Innovation Lab for Peanut is also using the approach across many countries to really systematically scale the use in a way that's very coherent between the countries. And also World Vets and the Crop Trust, two organizations using the tricot approach for crops other than the main food crops, so working on vegetables and also underutilized crops. And then also forages, which is very interesting, many species, so not comparing just varieties but also species. This is going on in Ethiopia, but also the forages program of the Alliance is also planning for more use of the tricot approach. So we see very interesting use, very diverse use of the tricot approach, adding to the learning around the approach, and also creating more data on how different crops and even forage species are doing on farms. One other thing that we've been doing in the project is the constant improvement of the Klimop platform, which is the digital platform that supports users to execute trials all the way from designing trials to analyzing the data. So one of the major features that has been built in 2023 is the multi-language forms, which allow users to use multiple languages in the field. So you can ask a question in one local language or another local language, depending on the language of the farmer. So that's a major improvement. Another improvement is the interoperability, which we are achieving by working with the breeding API, which allows us to work with other breeding platforms, exchanging data. So now, for example, it's possible to import variety names or the names of the different lines that are going to be tested in the trials from BreedBase, which is an important breeding database for the RTB crops especially. And we also plan to expand this in 2024 to other breeding platforms. And then also there are many other small improvements that come from user feedback. I would like to have this feature, I don't like how this actually works, small changes. And we're also very happy to receive more of your feedback to keep making these kinds of improvements. We've been publishing a number of papers to document the approach, to show the scientific validity of the approach. So one paper, the one on the right, has a lot of authors showing the big network and collaborative um, collaborations, the collaborations behind the triangle approach. Also, we've been publishing a paper about the Climo platform itself that you see on the left, and also very interestingly, the use of TriCot for consumer testing, which also is happening more and more. That's the paper in the top left as well. Then the topic of this meeting will be value networks. So we believe that the TriCot approach is able to create new kinds of collaborations because it's now easier to exchange data. It's easier to execute the trials as well. It can be done by organizations that are very close to the farmers. It could maybe do it in more effective and efficient ways, and do it in collaboration with research organizations who kind of outsource the main part of the work to these other organizations, the farmer-facing organizations, as we call them. So this could lead also to different ways of collaboration, just like people create value networks around digital businesses, as you can see in the picture. And one of the things in these kind of networks is that everybody has to have their own role to play. Everybody needs to get something out of this network. It doesn't need to be money. It can also be other things, just fulfilling your mission when you're a public institution, but doing this in a more effective and efficient way. And probably the network needs to be much more complicated than the one that you see in the picture. It's more something like this, what you see in the next picture. But to achieve this, to get to this, we need to answer quite a few questions. And in this meeting, we will be starting to ask some of these questions for TriCot. So these are some of the questions that we need to ask. So what are the roles of different organizations in doing variety use testing? How can they complement each other? How can value networks produce more value working together rather than working alone? How does TriCot facilitate collaboration, and what other innovations are needed to achieve this? So not only TriCot, but also other innovations are probably needed. And how can each organization benefit from collaboration and fulfill its own mission by doing this collaboration? So these are some of the questions that we would like to start asking ourselves in this meeting, and we hope you can be part of this as well. So thank you very much, and I look forward to interact with you in the online meeting that we'll be having. Thank you.